Thanks a lot.
And good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name again is Zach Allison with ATS. Our ATS spec tool is a product selection system that helps you navigate the intricacies of all the different suffixes and options that are available on, various products from adult change tables to faucets to roof drains and floor drains and everything in between, everything that touches water and everything that impacts barrier-free design. So part of that focus of that spec tool is not just keeping you educated on those suffixes and options and helping you get the right one. It's also making sure you understand the products that are available. And with that, we run our ATS University series uh, 2 or 3 times a month, depending on the month and what our focus is that month. So I know we've been focused heavily on universal design these last couple of weeks, and through the rest of the month is going to be heavily focused on that. We're very excited to continue that sort of presentation. At the end of the presentation, I'll show you how you can access any of those previous recordings if you're interested in learning any more. Of course, we're able to provide any more in-depth questions or answers or help you update your firm's projects or masters with these products that we're going to cover today. And in terms of general housekeeping as it comes to webinars, everyone's going to be muted upon entry. This is an AIA accredited webinar. My team will be reaching out with your certificate for self-reporting. And when they do so, you can simply provide them your AIA number and we'll send that over to Daryl if you need that AIA accreditation. So I see a number of the names in here, some of our regulars that are here, every week or every other week with us, and some of them may not need all the AIA accreditations. So, there's a little bit of back and forth there that we will get the details that we need off of you in case you do need that AIA note. So, we'll keep that in mind as we go. They will also be sending you the link to the recording, and we can get the copy of the presentation should you need it as well. Those are kind of our general piece of housekeeping. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat as it goes. So if you do have questions, feel free to pop it into the Q&A tab along the way, and I'll be sure to bring that up to Daryl as we go. And with us today, as good of an introduction as any, Daryl
Perfect.
Burnett from the Maxability team with all the Pressalit products, really focusing today on a laser focus on a particular product and a particular aspect of design, focusing heavily on universal design, accessibility, and diving into the nitty gritty of what is an adult change table, where does it fit, why do we need them, what are the features that really matter. Our ATS universities really have a range from high level overview of templates or high level overview of applications to uh, code focused discussions right down to the nitty gritty details of a particular product. So Daryl's done this with me before. We've done a couple of these a year for the last few years. That has a fantastic in-depth presentation that covers a lot. So if you have questions along the way, please put them into the chat. We'll be sure to raise them up to him. And I guess with all that being said, I'll pass it over to you, Daryl. Thanks for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. As Zach mentioned, we're getting into the important considerations for adult size change tables in public restrooms. I know there's probably some people here, the US, Canada. I'm going to speak mostly to the US, but I'm going to kind of go a broad stroke. And then, but anytime it comes to building code, always check your local building code. And here in the US, it can change from state to state. So I would love to say this is the one thing that's required, but can't say it. Once you've been in one state, you've been in one state. So we're going to go with that. But I enjoy talking about this because this is what we do every day. We are Maxability. We are owned by Pressalit, so we mostly present the Pressalit products, but we also, Pressalit does let us sell other products as well. So we go over that, but the main basis of our existence is adult size changing tables, public restrooms, public spaces. So that's kind of where we are, and also schools. So we kind of really go in that realm. So that's what we do every single day. So the learning objectives for this, we're going to identify those most impacted by the broader implications of adult-sized changing tables in public restroom, understanding those important factors of the adult-sized changing tables. Um, Not only just even getting it in the room, the wall blocking, load bearing, the environmental considerations. Several models. I'm going to mention different models, not just Pressalit, but other models that are out there. So you can have, find out what's appropriate for your specific location, and then also learn how complete accommodation can fundamentally change an individual's engagement in accessing their world. So that's what's really important. And that's I was telling Zach earlier, it never gets old. I was telling a story last week and my voice started trembling. I was like, what's going on here? I get really emotional about, what this really does. So when we talk about why an adult size changing table, I started working with adult size changing tables probably about 8 years ago. And believe it or not, I worked with complex rehab before that. I was an assistive technology professional. We did sitting, standing, walking devices, everything that insurance covered for the home, but never heard about adult size changing tables. Um, but all of the people that I was working with sitting, standing, walking devices qualify for this use out in public. So when I changed, my former colleagues, they're like, "What are you doing? I've never heard of that." So yeah, everyone's heard of a baby changing table, but you rarely see the adult size changing tables. So that's where I tell people they're usually in family restrooms, companion care, assistive technology. So they're usually going to be about 70 to 71 inches long. I think that gives you around, what is it, 1800 millimeters? I can't remember. I won't convert too much. Most of them are going to be powered adjustment. There are some fixed height. And also you're going to think about the clearance of the head or foot and sometimes legislations. As I mentioned, in the US, it really happened really recently that the, the adult size change table was put into the building code. In the United States, California was the first state to mandate universal changing table in 2015. And then later on, 27 states out of 50 have passed some type of legislation. What was going on before, they were going from state to state trying to get legislation. Some would get a yes, some would get a no. So then finally put it in the building code because we were trying to capture all this. And when they were doing it state by state, they didn't really think of the impact. But then when you started looking, when we brought it into the building code, it really started showing that 28% of people in the US report having a disability. 12.2% have a disability related to mobility, 7.7% difficulty with independent living, and 3.7% struggle with self-care, ADLs, activities of daily living like dressing, bathing, toileting. So that's how it really came about, is really getting it in the building code so this can really take place. Like I said, I won't go too much into the specifics of the building code. I will touch on this building code is mainly in the US, but as I always recommend, check your state, local codes. It's going to change from place to place. But the broad stroke of this code kind of covered public, high occupancy commercial facilities, venues where public places usually had a large capacity of gathering. It could be any mercantile properties, shopping, um, selling things like malls, educational buildings, stadiums. Those were the main ones, airports. So that's where it really started. And you can really get deep into the code where it's showing men and women's restrooms having at least 6 water closets and goes beyond there. But long story short, it was a great thing getting into building code because now the public spaces are really open to it now. I get calls every day. We have this request for a changing table. I've never heard of it. And believe it or not, in the US, it's still fairly a new concept. I still get calls that people have no idea, they've never seen one. and they were asking, is it required or is it not required? So that's where we struggle. But diving more into the code, it has really helped, and it is really taken off with the public spaces in the US. So that's really, really helped a lot. Uh, that's one thing. Just so
I'll just
that.
mention in there as well,
Yes.
uh, when we talk about where it's required and where it's not,
Yes.
ATS has done in the past a review of the different states to see it is. So I'll show at the end of the presentation how they can find the download.
Yes.
That'll show where those are required.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Zach. Yeah, because it's all over the map. So, and then it's happening more and more each week. It's changing. So that's good. Yep. So when it comes into the architectural elements, like you said, you have to consider building code, local, state, and you'll find in California they have their own laws sometimes with local and city government. You have to have the space. I always ask, you need the space. Of course, you need the budget. But the other thing to consider is the wall materials. What type of wall reinforcement, blocking is determined what's needed for that specific table. Sometimes electrical outlets, GFCI is required. The specification of the table, spaces that you need, the footprint of the table, because there's different sizes and different footprints. Most architects enjoy the CAD drawings. That really helps. And also, is it new construction or retrofit? So these are things just to start the table, the ball rolling on getting everything going on. Looking at the environment, first question I usually ask, will it be in a dry room or a shower? Because there are specific shower change tables that can literally be inside the shower while the shower is going. And there are some that are dry rooms where they're not meant to be in the shower. So you definitely have to know what type of environments is there. And I just usually ask that. When I first started in the US, because um, Pressalit is based in Denmark, and I asked if it were in a dry room or a wet room. And again, know where you are in the US, like, well, it's a bathroom. Yes, it's so the terms dry room are not typically used in the US. Washrooms are not typically used, so it's going to be a restroom, a bathroom, in the family changing room. So just knowing where you are is kind of funny too, just the semantics of who you're talking to. Also, what is the volume of that restroom use, the traffic? Is it high traffic? Is it unsupervised? Is it supervised? Is it locked or unlocked? Is it open access 24 hours or is it monitored? So that is a big difference because vandalism does play a place. It happens. So whether it's low, moderate to high traffic, you want things vandal resistant if it is in the public spaces. So knowing that, I'm just going to show a few different models of tables. This is an example of a shower change table with Pressalit, the 3000. And this is kind of the top of the line, where it's mostly used with the caregiver. Schools use it a lot. Assisted, what do you call them? Sometimes you can say daycare, adult daycare, especially in these facilities. They use these a lot because it is good with a caregiver. So it does, of course, fold, and the safety rail is easily accessible and it's out of the way when not in use. And this is a great table for caregivers. These pads are removable, so be aware of placing them in unsupervised areas. Uh, in the US, I don't know why, but the pads walk away. They will remove some of the pads if they're not totally secure. But this is a good for a caregiver when you're showering with the headrest, with the rack, so that really helps depending on the need and depending on the environment that you're in. So this is a Pressalit 3000 with the removable pads, water collection tray, and you can connect it to a drain as well in the room. Or sometimes they will just have a drain in the floor, or it does come with a hose as well. So this will cover showers. It can be used outside the shower, but definitely recommended in shower use um, because it kind of shows has everything you can in comfort for the shower. So that is the Pressalit 3000. Um, Pressalit 2000 or slash 2100. It's just a difference in the mattress. The mesh mattress is 2000. The coated canvas is 2100. And the difference is if you're definitely going to be in the shower, that mesh mattress is good. But if it's going to be outside the shower, coated canvas is better because it's easily cleaned. So you want to make sure that I would not recommend a mesh mattress being in a dry room because it will collect all kind of dirt, bacteria. If you drop a diaper upside down, it's all over. If you wipe it, it's still going to be in the mesh mattress. As in this video, it's a mesh. So coated canvas is easily wipeable. Um, this is also popular. The 2100 is popular to use outside. These are in a few airports in the US because the footprint's a little smaller. It's about 70 inches long. And the footprint is not too bulky, as you can see. It's a lightweight tray. So this is in Washington, D.C. Airport, Charlotte, North Carolina Airport. So they're in different airports around the area. Some museums are good because it's an easy adult size table with a footprint. And even though it's not a hard line surface, it's still a little bit supported. People like that because moving to the next one, the 1000 could be, this is like a hammock type lying surface. So as you can see, the 3000, 2000, 1000 can be in different environments. Same control mechanism, hand control. And I also want to mention all of these tables do come in fixed height as well. So if you imagine using the lying surface with the bracket straight on the wall, there's a fixed height, but with the building code, it is recommended for the height adjustable, especially in public places to prevent injury of the caregiver. So the only difference with the Pressalit 1000 is it's not as wide as, and in inches, it's about 25, 26 inches wide. And as you can see, there's a hammock type lying surface here. So that's also good for individuals. These are in homes sometimes. Again, smaller footprint. You can see the lying surface is not as bulky. Lightweight, but it still has the same weight capacity from 330 pounds to the 1000 up to 500 pounds for the 3000. These also function well in libraries, museums, where there's not a large traffic area, but there is a need for an adult size change table. And these work really, really well in those lower environments. All right, so now let's go to the public. As I like to say, in the US, we really like to tear up things. We will break almost anything. If something's moving, we take it off, we see what it's made out of. So this is when we were selling the 3000 in the US 10 years ago, most of the public restrooms in the US do not have showers. So we needed a table that was a strictly change table only, no shower, because you didn't want to pay for the extra bells and whistles for the shower if you knew it was going to be in a dry area. So this is when they developed the CT 4000 and the 4100 for the US.
And my name is Annemette Thyssen.
Oh, let me go back to that.
And my name is Annemette Thyssen.
We are designers at Pressalit.
And we would like to present the new changing table. This new changing table was designed with the intention to introduce a solution which is perfectly suited for public bathrooms and the need of both children and adults.
Care providers often public places without the necessary facilities when in need of changing. Users are often left with the option of changing their loved ones on a dirty and wet restroom floor, a very undignifying situation with a high risk of infection. This prevents individuals and families from going on trips and eating at restaurants or take part in public events. That's why we designed the new changing table to enable individuals and families to go out and enjoy everything the world has to offer. The new changing table has a minimalistic and aesthetically pleasing design. The surface is made from high-quality compact laminate, a very durable material which is water and vandal proof, as well as easy to wipe and clean.
The full-length safety rail with no latch openings ensures that arms and legs are kept safely inside, as well as providing the user with a feeling of privacy.
All edges are rounded to make it comfortable to both grip and lean on. Integrated grab bars allow the person on the changing table to help out when repositioning. To provide better access for the caregiver, the safety rail curves down at the center, and the safety rail can fold away below the table. The table is electrically height adjustable with switches placed conveniently close to the caregiver. This can also be done with the remote control, which is also used for folding the table up and down, providing compact storage when not in use. The mattress can easily be attached to provide extra comfort.
The attachment is strong, straightforward, and prevents the mattress from sliding, both when in use and in folded position.
The mattress can be turned over to double its lifespan. To enhance safety, the changing table was designed with a comfortable safety belt, which is easily attached and releases quickly. The buckle is made from strong plastic to make sure that it feels warm and comfortable against bare skin.
The changing table was designed with a high focus on hygiene.
All the nooks and crannies of the construction are sealed away, and the smooth compact laminate offers a surface which is quick and easy to clean. Even the mattress is made from smooth, easy to clean fabric and detaches easily to allow cleaning underneath. This focus on hygiene and functionality will improve the user experience and minimize the risk of infection.
So with the CT4000, that was mainly designed for the public restroom. So as we come across the top, just looking at all the different ones, Pressalit 1000, usually for individual low volume use. The 2100, it can be in a public restroom, shower change as well. 3000, typically with caregivers. And then the CT4000, public use, as you can see, you have the option of using the mattress. We've had parks that did not want the mattress, and there's a still smooth, non-porous laminate surface that's easy to clean. The hand control can be used, or there are buttons integrated on the table, so that can be used as well. And then again, within the past 4 years, there are coming other tables on the market, Bobrake, KB3000, the Sova, Ascent. These are fairly new, I would say, since 2023. So Pressalit has been selling change tables in the US for the past 16 years. So the knowledge is there, but there are other ones on the market, and it's naturally going to be with the building code. There will be some other products coming on the market, but the good news is we have access for people that really, really need to use these tables. One thing we like to talk about with designers, I usually, when I do this for architects, I usually kind of give them a quiz about how small, what's the smallest you can make the room. You usually don't ask architects what's the largest you can make the room. They're trying to cut corners, so they know typically the clearances around the toilet that's needed, the sink that's needed. So I usually challenge the architects and say, these are the minimum requirements for the table and the clearances of the table. Put that in your design as well, just as you do with the sink, as you do with the toilet and the family restroom, because we're getting a lot of times they're saying the architect's making this room too small. The architect's saying, well, we don't want any change orders to come through. We need to find out everything that's there. This is just too big. So we really want to just put everything out there to begin with and saying, this is the space that you need. And when I've talked to every single architect, they're usually coming up with the minimum for a family restroom to have the good accommodation is probably going to be about, this is going to be in feet, sorry, but about 10 feet by 10 feet is probably going to be the minimum. And typically, when you're helping someone design the room, I get calls all the time say, we've got approval for a table. We have no idea how we want it to set up. So I close my eyes when I'm on the phone with them. I'll say, okay, I'm walking in the room. I'm walking in the door. Where's the toilet? Where's the sink? Typically, in the US, a public restroom, the toilet has to be in the corner. It will be in a corner 9 times out of the 10. The sink will be on the same wall as the toilet because of the water supply. 9 times out of 10. Maybe not exactly the same, but it's going to be somewhere in the vicinity. But with these required grab bars around the toilet, unless you have a really big space, it's difficult to put the table near the toilet. It may encroach on that grab bar. So sometimes if you are designing from scratch, it's usually recommended or better to put the table near the sink. So that way you don't have as much to involve with the clearance with the grab bars on the toilet because those grab bars are required as well.
Yeah, the transfer space is
Yes,
always something to consider there, right? And
always.
I'll just note as well, we do have many universal design guides to
Mhm.
assist with if you're looking for ADA details on grab bars, or we have done provincial guides as well. For like we did the update on the BC barrier-free code and all the details
Good.
recently. So at least some of the audience, I
Yes.
think, attended both, so they've got fully versed on all those different grab bar heights, dimensions, and
Yes.
locations.
Yes. And what's funny, and I think I can say this, and be okay with saying it, but I did one with an architect one time, and sometimes you do get people that give pushback because one architect, we actually had a discussion. He said, well, I just want to know where it's required for a table because we're working on a park, a trampoline park, and they have a high occupancy place upstairs and they want an adult size change table. I just think there's an overreach. And I said, please don't tell mom with special needs that that would be an overreach. And then we kind of got into a discussion. And I said, why do you think it's overreach? He said, because it's a trampoline park. No one using the trampoline park is going to need an adult size changing table. I said, well, what if little Johnny wants to go to a birthday party at the trampoline park and his mom is in a wheelchair and she wants to go attend with him? And that's when he said, well, who's gonna watch the kid? And then I got a little defensive. I was at the nanny. So let's just move on. But so then I pulled back, and then one of the architects finally jumped in and said, we are designing the space for people to be for it to be available for them to come in, not just because you're going to use the facility. We have to build facilities for only the people that are going to use the trampoline. So it really gets into you have to get into another a mindset of that. I was talking to a coworker of mine, and he loves taking his teenagers to trampoline park. He said, "But what if, God forbid, I became, reliant on diaper changing? So could I just not go with them?" And that's what we don't realize, especially with adults that have toileting issues or their kids, the moms, their sons now are in their 20s and they can't take them in the women's restroom. They can't change them on the floor because, as you see next coming up, um, you want to make sure that someone just has the dignity to use the restroom in public because, as I've been told, if they can't use the restroom, they will not go.
Yeah.
Because anytime we go to a place, and I could actually say it, I've been a rep traveling all over the place. I know where every restroom is along my route if I'm driving more than 3 hours. And I probably have a timer set where I know where I'm going to stop, but I know where I'm going to go. And even us in habits, we know the restrooms that we're going to use. So if somebody needs a diaper change, they're going to really, really be selective. And then one lady in a wheelchair told me, she said, if we can't go, we don't go. So that's what we really want to think about. Being accessible is really about dignity and accessibility. It's not just a nice to have anymore. So we really have to think about that.
I was
So
just thinking
is
about,
that
I was going to say the line that you've had in the past, was, yeah, if it's available, then they'll go. It's very much a if you build it, they will come sort of
Absolutely.
perspective to universal design.
Yep. We've had some public places where we would promote stable and they said, well, we really haven't heard anyone needing one. So then once they received one, they advertised it and they had no idea that all these people were coming. He said they opened the table at a museum and within 2 hours, people were asking if they had an adult size changing table. And it got so busy, they actually had to get another one. So they had to get
Well,
another one on the others on another side of the building. So when about 6 years ago, we were actually in Pittsburgh and we actually met with, different families. And this is, Patty and her son, Jordan. And, this is her son. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. She's about 4'11", and she's his caregiver. He's autistic and he likes going out in public, even though he's nonverbal and he's toilet changing. He enjoys going out. He enjoys Pittsburgh Pirates games. Tell you what Patty mentioned, if she was asked if she can talk to an architect, what would she say? This is what she came up with.
I could speak to an architect. I would say you're already making the room big enough. Those family changing areas are huge rooms. And there's a lot of wasted space, I think. So putting an adult size changing table that can go up and down and a sink that can go up and down, that could accommodate people in wheelchairs or someone with Alzheimer's. I mean, there's so many people this could affect. The room's already big enough. I don't think it would be that much more of an accommodation to put that in there.
Many individuals have no idea what is not accessible. They do not realize that standard bathroom is not accessible for everyone.
I would say to someone that's thinks they're compliant with ADA, you might be, but is that enough? Is that good customer service? Are you accommodating everybody you could, or are you just doing the basic minimum that you need to do by law? That's not great customer service. That's not being accommodating. That's just doing what you need to do to pass code.
The safety of both me and the care provider is vital, and that's one reason the height adjustable tables are so important.
So we were there for a day. This was in Pittsburgh Airport. We were there with the mom and her 8-year-old son that was autistic, with Patty and her 19-year-old son that's autistic, and Josie, which is an adult in a wheelchair. And just hearing the day in the life, what they did, it was really enlightening. Josie was saying there's some days when she went out, she would go out, she would not eat or drink when she ran her errands because she was not sure if they could get to an adult size changing table. So she would just wait. She would cut her trip short, or she would just put it off. Patty was saying that Jordan loved Pittsburgh Pirates, games, but she could never stay to a full game with him. Baseball games are a little long anyway, so so she said she would have to get him home to change him in time because she could not change him on the floor. And then, like we said, I was telling Zach earlier on this, and I think I can say it now, hopefully without my voice trembling, but Pittsburgh Pirates got wind of that, and then we did a pilot with them. So Pittsburgh Pirates now has a changing table, and Jordan was able to go to a full game. They provided tickets for him, and he enjoyed it. So it just really impacts a lot more people than you would think. I told one mom that her son's 20 years old. I told her about the trampoline story. She said, I've seen, people with a wheelchair on the trampoline going up and down holding it. She said, and the kid in the wheelchair was having a blast. So again, people want to access their world and do things, but sometimes preventing them from using, having the diaper change station, it makes a big, big difference. Makes a big difference. All right, so next. So again, we just talked about different types of resources. Even on our website with Maxability, we have the design guide for architects. We have installation drawings to help them with everything because the architects, you don't want to have any change orders. They want to make sure they have everything in there. Outlets, wall blocking, all the specifications they need, BIM objects, any room design, because if the room layout works, just repeat it. Give it free technical support to help out with everything. So long story short, with the adult size changing tables, you will not imagine how many people you're impacting just by letting them be out in the world to access everything. So that is the gist of it, but I wanted to see if anything is out there that sparks someone's interest, their mind, and then we can also have a discussion. And like I said, I can give examples all day long of real life stuff because I deal with it every single day. So, any thoughts or questions?
Perfect. Well, I'll take over screen share while you
Sure.
keep an eye out for questions. I think one of the questions that comes up anytime I'm talking about these, and you said it, once you have a design that works, let's
Mhm.
repeat it. Knowing which products fit the right environment because there is a number of different options. There's, like you mentioned, some that are more vandal resistant than others, some that
Mhm.
are better for shower areas than others, some that are manually adjustable or electronically adjustable.
Right.
So knowing which are the right options to set as your template is probably the number one question. I think we covered that today during talking about, the CT, like the 2100, the 2000 to the 2100, the CT 4000 is probably the most universal for public applications where vandal concern might come in. But know
Right.
that there's that budget, but the budget fighter price point option as well
Yes.
with the 1000. Always great to know.
True. True. And we've even done it where people with facilities would put in their budget. And they didn't have the money right away, but then with the 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000, there are fixed height versions of the adult size. So they would buy the fixed height, use it for a year, and then they're able to upgrade and make that into a high adjustable table. So sometimes that could work, some options like that, where to be budget friendly, to convert the fixed height into an adult size change table later. Some states have grants, like Tennessee has a great grant program where people can apply for the grant for the adult size changing table. That's a big thing that's really, really helped. Um, and all the advocacy is just really letting people know how this is really helping the individuals to get out and access the world.
Perfect. Well, let's show them how they can start getting their templates and have their ready to use design guide ready to go. We mentioned
Perfect.
at the beginning of the presentation the ATS spec tool and how these products are available to be configured and find the right options that fit your project directly on the spec tool. Um, First and foremost, spec tool is a free platform for designers. It's paid for by the manufacturers like Pressalit. We manage their data, get them on the system, and then that data is available to be configured by a designer and then downloaded to put into your project however you deliver your project. If you are looking for the Revit files, if you are looking for a CSI three-part spec, or if you just want a schedule in Excel, or if you're the type of agency that just puts a detailed spec on your drawings, and then your book spec covers more code-based aspects. We have a format that will fit you. Again, all is free and available for you to sign up through the button here, and then you can log in through here. I always just bookmark the login page and then come back to it every day. A couple of pieces I mentioned along the way as we were doing the intro. We do have templates available here, which are going to be application-based design guides. This button was kind of our first introduction to templates, and now those are built directly into the spec tool, so you can just drag and drop from the pre-approved template into your individual project. And I'll show you how you can do that so quickly. The Learning Hub is a great resource as well. We talked about where the adult change tables are required by building code, and I linked the section that will show, and I'll show you how you can access that design guide, as well as the webinar recording is going to be uploaded here probably tomorrow once our team has extracted and then uploaded it. So all the previously recorded webinars are here as well. If you're looking for a deep dive on all the heights for your barrier-free accessories or for your soap dispensers and things like that. Those are all available there. And then the knowledge base, like I mentioned, has our references. So, the 2024 barrier-free code update. We recently updated our 2026 update for the special needs adult change tables, and all sorts of different design guides, whether it's sizing your acid neutralization tanks, barrier-free aspects, all sorts of different design guides to help. And again, everything is just our goal is to make product selection easy, and that happens with our tools as well as with helping designers understand the products that they are selecting. So this is the actual dashboard of your spec tool. Again, everything's going to be free and easy for you to access. You're able to have your corporate account. There's unlimited licenses. We're not charging you by the license. And you can share your projects and your masters with your team. So my team, the market development team, works with the principals and the team leads to kind of set your own individual masters, which are available to be housed on the system. And then those are constantly updated whenever Pressalit changes the model name and number or discontinues a SKU and replaces it with a new one. And we have a number of those manufacturers from, Lixil's discontinued a few hundred SKUs over the last year. Watts has changed the nomenclature on a few of their SKUs. We have 45 different manufacturers or so that are available on the spec system. And when there's a discontinuance, we will notify the person that owns that master, hey, this product's been discontinued. We recommend replacing it with this. Or if there's no direct replacement, then we'll book a meeting with you and help you understand your options that are available. And that's why we have this quick action bar here for your master. And then we have different levels of folders as well. So project would be where you have a particular location, and then that location is going to apply the building code and the rule engine for that location. So we talked about, I referenced that the British Columbia building code update in 2024 that enacted to start last year. If you selected British Columbia, then you would get the BC building code. If you select Texas, then you'll get the Texas Ability Standard. If you select California, you'll get the California Green Code, or the New York City has a couple of specific aspects for themselves as well. And the other point that I'll highlight here is the bid date. So when you select this date, if we say October 10th, 2026, up until the 10th, you will get those notifications and those discontinuance protections. And then on the 11th, we stop providing those updates. So just keep that in mind. You can adjust this date to put it further in the future. Let's say we get to October and the project has pushed out a year. You can adjust that date. And then the other piece I'll highlight here is our building class selection. When you select a building class, that applies a secondary rule engine. Healthcare has specific requirements for their faucets and for their basins. Educational facilities like schools might have a different degree of vandal resistance that's required compared to an office building, or a residential building like a condo or student residence, a hotel, things like that might have different exclusions because they're deemed more private based on the building code. So those are the key aspects of creating a project, where we ask for a little bit more detail so that we can provide a little bit more rule engine protection. But you also do have the quick spec, which is a simplistic, no rule engine being applied, just put in a title, change table, finish, and then you can start making your selection. So we have all these different categories in the spec tool. Like I mentioned, we have 45, almost 50 manufacturers these days. You can refine the selection either by using the display by division button here on the left, or the search feature here in the middle. We can search by category for a change table. You can see we've then got our baby change table or the adult change table. You can pin your favorite categories as well so that the next time you log in, those will always show up at the top. You can see the 2100 is one of the top models available. but we do have that CT 4000 as well. So if we select in here, one of the key aspects of the spec tool is when you make a selection, you get the accurate model name and number. It updates the model name and number every time you make a selection on the option. And that's true for everything, as simple as the adult change table, where we've got two options here, to as detailed as, a floor drain, or your soap dispensers where you've got foam versus liquid soap, or, your faucets where you've got different flow rates, and those are going to affect your suffix options. This is what I mean when I say we're going to keep your spec up to date and accurate. So as we make that selection, it updates the model name and number, and we can hit complete. And if this is the simple selection that we have, we can change this to an ACT1, or however you want to call your fixture tags on the label. And then if we wanted to fill out the rest of this universal washroom, then maybe that's a case for more of a project. So I'm going to pop over here on the left toolbar to the Universal Design Change Table webinar demo that I put together earlier, where I've got that information selected. I've got my bid date of, the 10th, so today. I've selected an application where it's a transportation center. Maybe we're doing a new airport, or a new train station. We've got a location where this is, Las Vegas, Nevada. And we could go in and use our masters and templates, where you would have our quick access door pop up. So the first tab will be your specific firm's masters. I'm in a demo account here, so this reflects all the different masters that we have in our demo account. But this could be, Zach and Burnett and Allison engineering, or B&Z architect and engineering group. And we can have our standard universal washroom template available to simply and easily drag into our individual projects. And then you have our ATS templates, which is our recommendations by application. So then I can search for, say, high traffic, and find, okay, this is a high traffic master template. I've got different product groups, from manual, battery, hardwired, all the typical accessories. If you're doing mechanical room, drainage, adult change tables, all the specialty areas as well, like fire equipment, janitor's closets, even prayer room and pet areas. But we can go find our adult change table. We've got an upgrade and a base model option here. We can select both and simply drag and drop over. And then if I want to get the rest of my universal washroom together, I could go into the hardwired fixtures maybe, and find a, do I want exposed and concealed, barrier free? And then we've got a couple of options on the lavs. Maybe it's more of a wash fountain option. And again, we can just drag and drop these over into our project. And you can go all the way through into accessories, grab your partitions if this is the larger washroom, or any of the additional accessories you need, like your grab bars. And again, it's as simple as just drag and drop. We can reorder these. You can change all the tags to match your internal tagging system. Everything's easily editable. And the goal is to provide, the ease of repeat work while making sure that your individual selections are accurate. And then you can download them in any one of our 10 different formats. So we've got submittals, schedules, long spec, short spec, detailed spec, Revit files, different configurations with all of them as well. Some like our formatting, some just want a base format, some want all caps. And then you can get these types of formats that I've pre-downloaded ahead of time here, where you show the exact options that are available and the ones that you've selected. The detailed spec, the written spec adjusts to reflect any selections that you've made. We've got the manufacturer spec sheet embedded into the system as well. Nice table of contents, the manufacturer spec sheet with all the appropriate details. And then even brochures, if you want to present this to your owner group and say, here's, a couple of different options. You can look at that. We've got the different types of written spec here for you as well. CSI 3-part spec, installation, product execution. Every one of our formats is open and editable, but you could also copy and paste this directly into your internal systems. So giving you language that you can put and update into your book spec if you so chose. And then the short spec with a little bit fewer details. And if there's a format that you see that is not available, then just let us know. All of these came from feedback from the system. I'll show the Revit file here as well. So you get the Revit files as part of a zip folder, but I don't have Revit on my machine, so I can't show the actual files. But they are just as simple as check the box you want to download, hit the generate documents button, and it'll put it together and you'll get a zip folder or the individual file. So yeah, that's the quick overview of the ATS spec tool. What I would highly recommend, if this is your first time seeing it, feel free to reach out to me. I'll get someone from my team give you an in-depth demo and find the products that are most suitable for you. We can help you set up your masters so that all you need to do is open up your internal master, check a box, and copy and paste. Now, I know everyone has probably a previous project that they worked on. Those are not going to stay up to date is the challenge. You might update it once a year. We update ours every month, every couple of weeks. As soon as the manufacturer provides us the information, we get working on handling any discontinuances and product updates. So yeah, that's the kind of quick overview of the spec tool. Thank you all for attending today. Hopefully you learned a lot on either on spec tool, but also on the Pressalit Care Adult Change Tables, how easily they are to put into your applications, the importance of why we're putting them into these applications. And of course, if you have any questions on next steps, feel free to reach out to us. But thank you all for attending today. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you, I don't think next week, the week after, we've got another universal design, I think. So have a great rest of the day. Bye now.